fans, do you want to win your share of $100,000? Simply enter the houseofboxing.com Fight Night Prediction Challenge. Compete with boxing fans around the world. Simply head over to houseofboxing.com and sign up now.
This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and houseofboxing.com. Delighted to be joined with Jarvis. We're about sort of 10 days away now from your fight, York Hall headlining, back out. How's things though? How are you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, I'm feeling really confident. I've had to lose a little bit of weight for this fight. It's not been enjoyable. This has probably been my first weight cut for a fight. I've only, luckily I've only had to lose 10, 15 pounds over the last 2 months. So it's not a big problem, but yeah, I'm just confident and excited to get into the fight. We got 10 days to go and just wanna make it bang for Misfits.
Absolutely. You just mentioned there about your first sort of weight cut and actually moving down in weight. It isn't really something that is well known in influence especially in influencer boxing. Obviously, it does happen in pro boxing and in the amateurs.
Yeah.
How have you found that sort of that adaptation to sort of drop down in weight? Have you been using a nutritionist, been sort of being careful with what you're eating?
Yeah, so I've got a nutritionist. I've been using him for the last 2 months. He's been helping a lot, making sure, I'm obviously eating the right calories, but the right macro protein, making sure I'm getting my carbs in and eating at the right times during the day. It's helped a lot, especially with cravings. If I'm craving a pizza or something that's a little unhealthy, he'll come up with a, healthy alternative so that I'm getting that satisfaction, but still sticking to my goals and calorie intake. So he's been very helpful and very useful this camp. I've never used one before, so especially for a weight cut, I think that's necessary.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get into the fight. Fighting in the UK, headlining in York Hall. How do you feel about sort of that whole as an experience? I know York Hall is sort of synonymous with British boxing and the professional game, but how have you found that headline in York Hall?
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about it with my coach and stuff, and to be able to box in such a old school OG place, it's gonna be awesome. Honestly, just can't wait to get in there. It's been 3-4 months since my last fight, so I'm just trying to stay active, stay at it.
Absolutely. We'll get into opponent. Obviously, Bdave is the opponent. He's been very sort of active this year. You think he sort of made his Misfits debut January time, and he's had a few tag team fights, had fights. And what do you make of him as an opponent for you for your Misfits debut in a sense?
So he's definitely got a lot of experience, in the ring, just being under the lights. I would say he's definitely got a chin. He can definitely take a punch. He likes just walking down his opponent, and I do the same. So we're going to be kind of walking at each other in the fight. But, in these tag team matches, it's not like a real fight. It's you can tap in, tap out whenever you want. You're wearing, I think, 12 or 14 ounce gloves. So in this, it's 3 minutes, 5 rounds of just me coming at him. 10 ounce gloves. I don't think he's gonna be ready for that.
One thing that you said there, you talked about your style being aggressive and sort of going at him. When was the point when you sort of started to develop your style? When you started sort of boxing and just learning, was there a point when you realized that, I actually like to be on the front here, I like to be aggressive, I do like to sort of trade a little?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it was more in sparring, and I always had a trouble at the beginning of moving my head. My coach would always say, move my head. So I definitely learned early on that I can take a hit because, I sucked at moving my head and moving in and out. But I've learned to use that to my advantage now. So now that I know I can take a hit and I can, just move forward and go towards them, I've been getting a lot better at, slipping and rolling. So it's all coming together.
Absolutely. And something for you, this is obviously your Misfits debut, but influence of boxing isn't like sort of boxing isn't, you know, it's not something that's new to you. How does it feel that you've sort of built yourself, your name outside of Misfits, and now you've sort of become, you've built all that clout, and people want to see you in Misfits with the top guys. You've built the name outside. You feel like it's so much beneficial where now you're sort of going into the Misfits. Also, almost when you go in there, you want the big fights. You've already got that the experience and the clout behind your name to do so.
Yeah, 100%. You know, with this whole influencer boxing scene, my main goal was just try and make the biggest fights, you know, regardless of how challenging or hard they may be. I want to make the biggest and most entertaining fights for people to see. You know, influencer boxing, influencers, you know, they're here to entertain, and that's all I want to do.
Absolutely. We'll sort of touch a little bit on the Gib fight. Obviously, it didn't go over your way. And I watching your video sort of just after you talked about sort of you was in good spirits and you're sort of learning from it. How much do you
Yeah.
feel like you've learned, even when it doesn't go your way, not just in the boxing ring, but also in your life as well, you know,
Yeah.
sort of taking losses and that and sort of your character being tested. How much do you feel like you've learned from that and from that?
Yeah, I mean, so that was my first loss from, you know, in boxing. And I learned a lot from that. You know, Gib, he was the better fighter. He was more conditioned. And, you know, he's got that work ethic where his endurance and stamina is hard to beat. And that's why I learned a lot for this fight. You know, I found a strength and conditioning coach. We've been, you know, going at it for the last 2 months, 2.5 months, making sure I'm as conditioned as can be so that in the later rounds, I don't feel that same feeling I felt in the Gib fight where I was fatigued early on. I couldn't throw my punches. My legs were, you know, wobbly. So, you know, this fight, coming back from a loss, you know, I want it even more. I'm even more disciplined than I was before and just driven to win.
With what you mentioned there, your first time using a nutritionist, first time using sort of S&C coach, how important is it for like sort of learning for you that you actually never stop learning, no matter how much you think you know, there's always sort of little 1%, 10% that you can add to your game.
Yeah, exactly. You know, after every fight, you know, you always got to look back on, even if it's a win. A win maybe is harder to look back and see what you can learn from, but especially from losses, you can really, you know, take a step back and try to figure out what you can do to improve. And I think that loss has helped me more than ever at finding these other people to be a part of my team. And it's just all coming full circle.
One thing that will definitely help you is train at the Mayweather Gym. So many people have
Yeah.
been there through the doors and so many great trainers. Talking about sort of that, I was watching the video of you sparring 10 Mayweather Gym fighters in 10
Yeah.
rounds. One of them obviously being Curmel Moton, which was the last one, which is pretty brutal for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
He's obviously a very, very special talent. And what was it sort of like when you see him and see him train and how good that he potentially could be?
I mean, that Carmel inspires me to, you know, keep training hard. I see him in the gym every day. When I get in there, he'll already be training. When I'm done, he's still training. You know, he has got whole different work ethic than anyone I know in that gym. He's pushed more than anyone I've like seen before. And it shows when he spars. You know, I've sparred him countless times. And he's a different breed, honestly. He's gonna be a world champion one day. And yeah, it's crazy to be a part of that journey and to see him rise from going from amateur to now professional.
And another name that is a sort of a big name, Floyd Mayweather. Obviously, the footage came out of you and him sparring. How
Yeah.
much do you feel like you learned from that with a guy that has achieved so much in the game? Where you know from the path that you're on now to the path that he's on, do you like the sort of the experience in the ring must have learned? You must have learned so much from that.
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, being in there, you know, you see all the levels there is to boxing, especially, you know, being him, he's like the top of the food chain. It doesn't get much better than
Yeah.
that. And you know, when I'm in there with him, he was literally telling me what to do. He was telling
Yeah.
me what he was gonna do and telling me what I had to do. And you know, it's a very feeling very blessed to be able to, you know, get in the ring with him and be able to spar him because not many people can say they done that.
How would you look on since you started boxing, how would you look on it so far? Do you feel like sort of like 5 or 6 years ago, you'd ever think at this point you'd be training the Mayweather Gym with all these guys and stuff? Did it ever
No.
surprise you?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I used to just be a be a little
Yeah,
skinny kid that would play Fortnite, wouldn't leave my room much. I would just you know, be in my little hole, be in my gaming bubble. And you know, everything happens for a reason. And you know, I'm very happy that my journey has happened how it has. And now I'm, you know, boxing and doing something that I really enjoy.
definitely, absolutely. And just the last one from me. Obviously you're not looking past Bdave and whatever could be next for you. We do have to talk about Slim. Obviously you went in the ring after this fight. Didn't really go as planned as you'd want it to
I
be.
didn't. I
But
didn't.
that must, although that did happen, I know that probably wasn't your intention, but that is still a
No,
fight
no.
that would definitely excite you for the fans.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. No, I didn't mean to steal his moment in the ring. You
Yeah,
know, obviously there's a lot of emotions going around. And I made a little TikTok about it, explaining it. But that's definitely a fight I want to see in the future. If it's not the next fight, you know, when I win this fight against Bdave, I'm gonna have the belt at 155. So probably gonna have to defend that first. So potential names that I've been talking about are Nick LMAO or Alex Wasabi. They're both willing to go down to 155. So after Bdave, potentially either of those names, and then we go for the Slim fight or a Gib rematch. You know, anything's possible.
absolutely. Jarvis, just want to say thank you for taking time to speak to me. Appreciate it. And yeah, all the best for next week, man. I'm sure it'll go well
Thank
for
you
you.
so much.
Cheers for that. Stop, man.
All right,
Thank
have a
you,
good
mate.
one.